They shot the president. He kept talking. October 14th, 1912. Milwaukee. A bullet was lodged inside Theodore Roosevelt's chest, and he walked onto a stage to deliver a 90-minute speech. To understand how this happened, you need to know what year it was. 1912. Roosevelt had already been president twice. Most Americans thought he was done with politics forever. But that summer, he came back. New party, new banner, the Bull Moose Party. Some saw a hero returning. Others saw a king who refused to leave the throne. And one man, quiet, broken, alone, saw something else entirely. He saw a target. His name was John Schrank, Bavarian immigrant, former saloonkeeper. Years earlier, he had lost the only woman he ever loved in a steamboat fire on the East River. After her death, Schrank changed. He became obsessed with religion, wrote strange poems, and then the dreams started. In one dream, the murdered President McKinley sat up in his coffin. He pointed straight at Theodore Roosevelt. "This is my murderer," the ghost said. "Avenge my death." Schrank woke up convinced. He bought a Colt revolver for $14, and he started following Roosevelt across the country. From New Orleans to Charleston to Atlanta to Chattanooga to Indianapolis. For 24 days, Schrank stalked the bull moose across 8 cities. Once in Tennessee, he came within 10 feet of Roosevelt. He froze, couldn't pull the trigger. Then word came, Roosevelt was heading to Milwaukee. October 14th, 1912, 8 in the evening. The Hotel Gilpatrick, Milwaukee. Roosevelt finished dinner and walked outside to the waiting open-top car. The crowd erupted. Roosevelt sat down in the car. Then, smiling, he stood up to wave his hat. 4 feet away, John Schrank pulled the trigger. The bullet hit Roosevelt squarely in the chest. He staggered, sat back down. His stenographer, a former football player named Elbert Martin, leapt out of the car and tackled Schrank to the ground before he could fire again. The crowd surged forward, ready to lynch the assassin on the spot. But from the car, Roosevelt lifted his head and shouted, "Don't hurt him. Bring him to me." They dragged Schrank in front of him. Roosevelt stared into his eyes and asked, simply, "What did you do it for?" The man said nothing. Roosevelt was an experienced hunter. He knew anatomy. He coughed once into his hand. No blood. The bullet had not reached his lung. His aides begged him to go to the hospital. Roosevelt refused. He looked at the driver and said, "Take me to the auditorium. I have a speech to give." At the Milwaukee Auditorium, 9,000 people were waiting. They had no idea what had just happened. A few blocks away, Roosevelt walked onto the stage. The audience saw something dark on his coat, and they fell silent. He raised his hand for silence, and then he said the words that would echo through American history. "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot." Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his speech, 50 pages thick, folded in half, with a clean hole punched through every single page. And he held up the metal eyeglass case that had been in the same pocket, also pierced clean through. "It takes more than that," he said, "to kill a bull moose." Then he kept going for 84 minutes, with a bullet still inside his chest. He did not sit. He did not stop. He read every single page of that bullet-torn manuscript, and the audience listened in stunned silence. Only when his speech was finished did he allow his aides to take him to the hospital. X-rays revealed the bullet had broken his 4th rib and lodged deep in his chest wall. The doctors made an unusual decision. They decided not to remove it. That bullet stayed inside Theodore Roosevelt for the rest of his life. He once told a friend it bothered him no more than a coin in his waistcoat pocket. 2 weeks later, he was back on the campaign trail. But the bullet had cost him precious days. On election night, he lost to Woodrow Wilson, but he still came in 2nd place, beating the sitting president, William Howard Taft, the strongest result of any third-party candidate in American history. And what about John Schrank? The doctors declared him insane. He was committed to a Wisconsin asylum. He stayed there for 31 years. In all that time, 3 full decades, he never received a single visitor or a single letter. He died in that asylum in 1943, He outlived Theodore Roosevelt by 24 years. Some artifact from that night still exists today. They sit in a museum. The bullet-torn manuscript, the pierced steel eyeglass case, silent witnesses. Some men give speeches. Theodore Roosevelt gave one, with a bullet in his heart, and the world has never forgotten. Buried in American history. What other moments do you want us to bring back? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to Between Lines, and don't miss what's coming next.